42 years ago, the Star Wars fandom was introduced to Mon Mothma, leader of the Rebel Alliance, in the 1983 film Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. And although her appearance was brief, less than 2 minutes of screen time to be exact, Star Wars would eventually revisit the character beginning in 2005, investing and exploring her story over the next 20 years, eclipsing everything we thought we knew about Mon Mothma, creating one of the most compelling and complex characters in Star Wars. What makes Mon different though, is that she's not a Jedi, she can't wield the Force, we've never even seen her wield a blaster, yet without her, there's no rebellion. So to celebrate Mon Mothma and the final season of Andor, I want to go through and rank Mon's best appearances throughout the Skywalker Saga. So starting off my list at number 8, I have Mon Mothma in the Clone Wars series and Tales of the Jedi. Mon actually appears in 15 episodes of the Clone Wars and 1 episode of Tales of the Jedi, but she only has speaking lines in 3 of these episodes. I'm glad Mon was included in the Clone Wars as she was a figurehead of the Loyalist Committee along with Bail Organa and Padme Amidala, though the series never really gave her anything to do. Canonically, it made sense for Mon to be present, however, I wish they were able to give her a little character development, similar to Senator Ryo Chuchi or Duchess Satine. Believe it or not, Mon is actually present for a lot of the big events in the Clone Wars series. She was present on Mandalore as a delegate for the First Republic Separatist peace talks, she was present for Obi-Wan's funeral, she was present for the Jedi Temple bombing victim's funeral, and she was also present for Ahsoka's trial. We also see her in Tales of the Jedi at Padme's funeral along with Bail Organa, but once again, she didn't actually have anything to do, but I'm glad she was there nonetheless. Next at number 7, I have Mon's appearance in the Ahsoka series. Though she only appears in 3 episodes, Mon's appearance in this series gave us our first look at Chancellor Mothma on screen. Mon's characterization in Ahsoka fell in line with her character in this era, established by the books and comics, but there were still glimmers of the Mon we'd grown to know and love from Andor. While Mon continues to remain temperate and democratic, she's not afraid to bend the rules if it's in the interest of what she feels is right. We see examples of this in her conversations with Hera warning of Grand Admiral Thrawn's return, as well as accepting Leia's last-minute approval for Hera's unsanctioned mission to Cetos. Though brief, Mon's appearance helps ground this fantastical series and gives us a deeper look at the New Republic government and leadership on screen, something that's been sorely missing from post-Return of the Jedi, Mandoverse, and sequel trilogy storytelling. Now at number 6, I have Mon's appearance in Revenge of the Sith, or should I say lack of appearance, as the majority of her scenes were cut from the film. If you own Episode 3 on DVD, chances are you've seen the deleted scenes for this movie, which include the introduction of a young Mon Mothma, played by Genevieve O'Reilly. These 2 scenes would have introduced the Delegation of 2000, a group of senators concerned with Palpatine's consolidation of executive power and changes to the Galactic Constitution spearheaded by Mon and Bail Organa, planting the seeds of rebellion. Not only do these scenes lay the groundwork for what would eventually become the Rebel Alliance, but they also give characters like Padme, Bail, and Mon something important to do in the film.
We are hoping to form an alliance in the Senate to stop the Chancellor from further subverting the Constitution. That's all.
Now coming in at number 5, I have Mon's appearance in Return of the Jedi. Episode 6 serves as our introduction to Mon Mothma, leader of the Rebel Alliance, played by Caroline Blakiston. What I love about Mon's first appearance is that she commands attention as soon as she walks into the room, but also subverts the audience's expectations, seeing a strong, powerful woman as the leader of the rebels, especially in a movie made in the 1980s. While Mon only appears on screen for a few seconds, she definitely made a lasting impression.
Many Bothans died to bring us this information.
This now brings us to the halfway point. So at number 4, I have Mon Mothma's appearance in Rogue One. Believe it or not, this was actually Genevieve O'Reilly's first official appearance as Mon Mothma, 11 years after playing the character in the deleted scenes of Revenge of the Sith. First and foremost, I love that the creators behind the film decided to cast Genevieve O'Reilly as Mon again. They could have easily recast the character a second time, but they clearly saw something special about O'Reilly's performance, and understandably so. Genevieve O'Reilly does an amazing job paying homage to Caroline Blakiston's portrayal of the character, and even looks the part. Along with General Draven and Cassian Andor, Mon is present during Jin's meeting with the rebel leaders, tasking her with the mission to find Saw Gerrera and eventually locate her father to put a stop to construction on the Empire's new superweapon. Later in the film, though she denies Jin's request to send the rebel fleet to Scarif due to majority rule, Mon seems to be on Jin's side in the end, and once word of rebels on Scarif reaches their comms, Mon ultimately makes the decision to send the fleet to Scarif to aid Jin and Cassian's attack after all. Now the number 3 spot is going to take us from the screen to the page, discussing Mon Mothma's appearances in the books and comics. Mon Mothma has appeared in many Star Wars books and comics, detailing the events from the Galactic Civil War to the post-Episode 6 era as Chancellor of the New Republic. After the death of Bail and Breha Organa, Mon also took Leia on as her protege, helping shape her into the leader we know her to be, and though they didn't always agree politically, they always had one another's backs. This is made especially apparent in the novel Bloodline, where Leia's true parentage is revealed, exposing Darth Vader as her biological father, causing many of her allies to turn on her, all except Mon Mothma, who continued to stick by Leia's side. The Aftermath trilogy specifically shows us Mon's ascension to first Chancellor of the New Republic and the challenges she faced rebuilding the galaxy after the Empire's defeat, including the Military Disarmament Act and the Galactic Concordance, as well as implementing a decentralized government and the war crime trials for surviving Imperials. Coming up at the number 2 spot, we have Mon Mothma in Star Wars Rebels. Now, Mon appears in 6 episodes of Rebels between seasons 3 and 4, with Genevieve O'Reilly returning for a 3rd time to voice the character. At the time of the series' release, Star Wars Rebels gave us the most characterization and development of Mon Mothma than any previous media had. When I think of Mon in Rebels, I think of 2 standout episodes, Season 3's Secret Cargo and Season 4's In the Name of the Rebellion. Season 3 shows us a glimpse of Mon's speech denouncing Palpatine to the Senate floor, escaping with the help of the Ghost crew, announcing her resignation from the Senate, and her call to action officially forming the Rebel Alliance. Season 4 delves into the question of how and when to fight, with Ezra's growing concerns for his home planet of Lothal, and a climactic exchange between Mon Mothma and Saw Gerrera about how to combat and defeat the Empire. What I love so much about Mon and Saw's exchange is that we get our first glimpse of Mon losing her composure, revealing a more raw and emotional response as to why she's so careful and calculated in order to not lose herself in the fight.
You target civilians, kill those who surrender, break every rule of engagement. If we degrade ourselves to the Empire's level, what will we become?
And finally, at the number 1 spot, we have Mon Mothma in the Andor series. I mean, what is there to say that hasn't already been said? Andor Season 1 took everything we thought we knew about Mon Mothma as a character and completely subverted our expectations, turning a seemingly one-dimensional character into one of the most complex and compelling characters in Star Wars media. Andor gave us our first look at Mon behind the curtain through her strained relationship with her family, her failed attempts and defeat at fighting the Empire and the Senate, along with the risks and the sacrifices she's had to make in order to get her to where we find her by the time of Rogue One and Return of the Jedi. Mon appears in 9 out of the 12 episodes of Andor Season 1, once again played by Genevieve O'Reilly in her 4th appearance as the character. In her previous appearances, Genevieve O'Reilly's characterization of Mon is still very much an extension of Caroline Blakiston's Mon from Return of the Jedi, while Andor allowed her to fully live in and explore who Mon is as a person. Genevieve O'Reilly really seems to understand Mon as a character, and I'm so happy that Tony Gilroy and the Andor series have finally given her the chance to play a fully realized and developed Mon Mothma. Gone is the swooped pixie cut and white poncho dress, and instead, we're introduced to a more glamorous Mon that fits in with the other senators of the prequel and Dark Times era. Some of my favorite scenes of Mon in the Andor series are the close-up shots that solely focus on Genevieve O'Reilly's physical acting, as she's able to convey so much with little to no dialogue. Though my favorite sequence from the series comes in Episode 7, Announcement, where we see Mon navigating a party, her meeting with Tay Kolma, and her reveal.
Because as long as everyone thinks I'm an irritation, there's a good chance they'll miss what I'm really doing.
We also see the complexities of rebellion between her and Luthen Rail's differing methods on how to fight the Imperials. We see her vulnerability and financial struggles funding the rebellion, which lead her to seek out Tay Kolma and eventually Davos Skolden, a shady banker who uses her desperation as leverage, proposing an arranged marriage between their children, a tradition Mon is completely against, but ultimately has to accept as she's left with no other options. We see her strained marriage to Perrin, an unsupportive and dismissive husband that she's ultimately willing to throw under the bus in order to protect herself and the rebellion, as well as her strained relationship with her daughter Lita, who feels neglected and acts out towards Mon. But as much as we love to hate them, Mon isn't perfect herself, and that's kind of what I love about her in this series. The only person she can really confide in is her cousin Vel, but even Vel has to keep things hidden from her. Andor Season 1 shows Mon attempting to fight the Empire behind enemy lines, a strategy we know will ultimately fail, and a failure that will ultimately push her to become the leader we know her to be, and the teases for season 2 seem no different. It looks like we're going to see Mon finally get to that breaking point, laying it all on the line in a raw and emotional speech on the Senate floor, finally stepping out of the rotunda and onto the front lines of rebellion. So what did you think of my list? Let me know your favorite Mon moments in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to follow me on social media at ScottyHolidaySW, and as always, may the Force be with you.